and logical favorite in here. The 8, My Boy Gus, has taken all the money at this moment. He has not sprinted in quite some time, since February. Since then, he's had 5 route races where he's gone out there and set a very strong pace in almost all of those races, cutting back in distance for Broberg, also dropping in class, adding blinkers. I mean, obviously, there's a lot to like. It's just, can he win without the lead? I mean, in route races, he gets the lead. Will he be able to get it in here? We'll see. But certainly, even money, there's no value there. And then the 7-horse Descent, who was my 4th pick, now my 3rd, has not raced in 13 months. Closed out 2020 with a really nice 6-length win for Trainer Asmussen. Comes back for Ronnie Cravens. Comes back as a gelding for the first time. Has a series of encouraging works. Looks like the horse has been working every 7 days, so I assume the fitness level's good there. And since the favorites are taking, you could say suspicious drops in class, maybe a horse like this can pull a mild upset.
Yeah, I thought about using him a little bit higher. He is a 4-year-old versus 3-year-olds for My Boy Gus and Frosted Prayer, but I used Descent third as well. I actually was on Frosted Prayer all along. I originally had Gushing Oil 4th in my original selections. I don't know if that was the right maneuver, but it was odd to me that Gushing Oil hadn't worked since May 14th, almost a month out, coming off a really long layoff. But I went with Frosted Prayer. I mean, obviously there's some issues. They gelded him. They're dropping him. It doesn't have the normal, more aggressive Asmussen work pattern, but I took him because I just won't take My Boy Gus. Occasionally by this point in the meeting, you get situations you don't like, and I really like My Boy Gus on May 20th. He did make a fairly convincing lead and backed out of it. The jockey that day took him to the vet during the warm-up. Apparently didn't think that he was warming up well. The vet said he was good to run. And, I've seen horses run worse races than My Boy Gus did back on May 20th, but that started what, by Carl Broberg standards, was not a good week here. I think he only won 1 race that week and had a lot of prominently wagered on horses that week. So it just wasn't a hot week for a barn that normally wins multiple races every day in multiple jurisdictions. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but now they put blinkers on him. They change the rider. They don't bring Gutierrez back. No Cabrera either, which is kind of odd. And Cabrera, as far as I know, doesn't have a mount in this race. So that's kind of odd. A lot of oddness about My Boy Gus.
Yeah, considering he's 8-5 on the board. I mean, he took a pretty good drop in class last time.
Yeah.
And he went 48-2. That isn't going to get him anywhere near the lead today.
Yeah.
So, to me, if he stays at 8-5, he's a good bet against. Yeah. We're not saying he can't win.
Right.
We're not that naive.
No, but the 10-foot pole that I like to implement is definitely standing by for My Boy Gus. I think I just put him straight in the winner's circle.
Maybe.
On to the second race. Mostly stretch outs in this mile, Texas bred maiden fillies.
Yeah, and the buyer figures, as you can see, they're very low, well below the buyer par, which isn't all that high, but this is a state bred, absolute bottom of the maiden claiming division, 1 mile. I made Virginia Strong a slight favorite in here just because she's one of the rare ones that actually has a 2-turn pedigree. Last time out, her first try around 2 turns and only her 3rd career race. She ran credibly. She was forwardly placed, finished 4th. That was in the mud. She'll get a fast track today. And, she may be the only one that wants to run this far. So, I made Virginia Strong my top pick. It does help that high percentage rider Cabrera is aboard as well. The 5, Not Enough Bling, is my next selection. Has finished in the money 3 times. That's a good credential in here. Last time out at 5/8. Finished 5th, shows some, pretty good early speed. So I certainly think that she deserves some respect. I think she is the one to catch. However, the 4 previous foals from this mare, none of them even tried a route of ground, which, tells you a little bit of something. And I found the same thing about Euro Street, who broke last, rallied to finish 3rd, was wide that day. Off that race, you can certainly pick her. But on pedigree, Euro Ears was an exceptionally fast sprinter only, and Street Sail the Dam, again, 3 foals. They haven't even tried to route any of them, and I think one of them even ran in an 870 race. So,
wow.
So on the Dam side, they just don't feel like they can go a route of ground. It kind of leaves you with Adata Bling, who ran a terrific race 2 starts back, but then ran just a really bad race as the favorite last time out. So I really didn't want to go that direction. This is a tough race. Just the route experience of Virginia Strong to me made her the one to pick.
Yeah, and that's exactly. I really fear she's going to be a super short price, and I hate taking them in races like this, but I couldn't take anybody else. She has quite literally, at least on my PPs, no work tab, at least not since March 17th, which, but whatever. I went with Casting Pearls as a second pick. I admire the fact that she at least worked 6 furlongs the other day and had a route at Louisiana Downs. Now, she ran 5th, beating almost 25 lengths in a 6-horse field, but she's at least traveled around 2 turns, and I'm just desperate to find somebody that's going to be able to handle the 2 turns. So I took Virginia Strong over Casting Pearls with Euro Street third. Now, for the third race, we have video, and it involves Hewlin. And what we're going to watch here with Hewlin is the early stages of his April 29th race. He's going to get away bad. He is the 3. He's in white silks. See, I don't know if he hopped, whatever, but now watch the 3 in the white silks. He's going to come rushing up the inside here, Rick. Now he's mid-pack. He's right along the inside. He's moving up into 4th. He's showing really good aggressive speed to get right into this thing here, and he's going to kind of just run along here. He gets up into 3rd, and this is about his peak in this particular race right here, and he just kind of goes one pace from there, and he winds up 5th, beating 6.5. But we show this into the far turn here just because I think with a better start, he would have fared better there. This was a race against horses like Bowson and Wildcats Bling. I mean, I've been watching this guy. I once picked Hewlin over Superstock, for goodness sake, last year, which was not one of my better picks of 2020. But I'm back on him again today. I mean, if he's ever going to win, this is the spot.
Yeah, this is a good spot for him. And typically he runs well near the lead, so it looks like, based on that video, he definitely lost several lengths coming away from there. As a 2-year-old, obviously, he was, terrific. He was stake placed in 4 consecutive races, 2 at Remington, 1 at Prairie Meadows, 1 at Lone Star. So he did show an affinity for this track and all tracks, really. I like his versatility. Again, dropping down from an allowance race into this pretty, soft non-winners of 2 for 20. So, again, a good break from Hewlin. Will make him tough, but there's a lot of horses that have credentials to win, including the 5, Lucky Promise, who did finish in front of Hewlin in the Texas Futurity last summer at Lone Star Park. And then most recently, he's finished second in 2 of his last 3 races. Last time out, finishing second, the winner of that race, Casey Tismoro, did come back to win. You can draw a line through the race 2 starts back. It was in the mud. This horse, his best races by far have been on fast, dry surfaces, which he certainly will get today. And Austin Gustafson, the trainer, just had a terrific season. The 6, Blings Bellwether, nice efforts on the fast track. His only sprint on the fast track was in the Groovy Stakes, finishing 4th, earning a 65 Beyer figure, well above the Beyer par for this level. Recently, he's tried 2 turns twice for J.R. Caldwell. Now back to what appears on paper to be his best distance, taking a significant drop in class. I think Blings Bellwether could be flying late.
Yeah, he's totally devoid of early speed and, going 5.5. I don't know how good a sign that is, but Caldwell has good numbers going route to sprint. This horse did compete 1 time against non-Texas breds, and it wasn't a particularly successful effort, but Bobby Brinkley and Octul Gali and First Avenue are pretty nice miler types, and, he kind of ran around behind them, but now he gets back with Texas breds. He tries to sprint. I thought about trying to beat Hewlin with Blings Bellwether, but I thought the better of it, so I went 1-6-5. Let's point out the 4 Texas Crossbow is not eligible for this race. He won on Monday, so he's out as a scratch. Also, the 7 and 8, Sweet Tomato Pie and Big One, are scratched as well. I'm kind of curious to see. I used him 4th, but I'm kind of curious to see. Tally the Money went to the Pish Stable a month ago and made his first start since August and was a really nice winner at a bottom maiden claiming level. I'm just curious to see how he runs back. I mean, these are much better than he was running against that day, but he's my 4th pick just to see how he runs.
Yeah, he did get an easy lead against bad company, so he's going to have to pick it up a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Just curious to see how he goes. On to the 4th. 5/8 of a mile. This was an interesting one for me. First of all, scratch part of the entry, the 1A Ashley's New Shoes, and scratch the 8 Light Up the Devil, because in Cobra Casablanca and Ignis, you got two mares that basically ran almost perfect races last time, and to me they were kind of hard to split.
They were very hard for me to split. I made Ignis 8-5 and Cobra 9-5 just off Asmussen. He might attract slightly more money than Calhoun, and that's about all I had because they both have terrific turf sprint career records. They both have won 3. Both buyer figures are almost identical, even though it was an allowance race. Ignis won, and Cobra Casablanca won for $15,000. I mean, in the previous race, Ignis, he ran a condition claiming race.
Yeah.
So, to me, on class, they're the same. Cobra Casablanca, I just feel like the turf course being really hot like it is might be really fast this week, and you can't get much quicker than this mare. This mare's as quick as we have on the ground, so I'm taking her to go wire to wire. I wanted to pick Many Sweet Treats as my best long shot of the day, but Cobra Casablanca, I just did not want to pick against her. I just feel like she's got a big chance to go wire to wire. But she won her only turf sprint of her career, Many Sweet Treats, at Lone Star last August. And if you look at her best main track races recently to close out her Remington meet in February of Oaklawn, 2 really nice wins from just off the pace, earning buyer figures as fast as the turf sprint numbers posted by our 2 favorites here. If you can make a case, and based off her one turf race, maybe she's better on turf than dirt. It might be worth the risk. You're going to get a square price on her as well. I'm really intrigued with Many Sweet Treats, and if I'm betting a multi-race, I think I'm going to put her on there because I just fear her at a price.
Yeah, we've seen Arkansas breds fire on the turf here before. So, I used her 4th as well. But, it wouldn't be a shock at all. I picked against Cobra Casablanca. I tried to beat her at 8-5 last time, and I'm not going to fall for that again, even though I love Ignis, and she's run really well. But, like you say, I went with the speed factor. I think she's a little, I don't think there's any doubt, she's quicker a foot, early on than Ignis. So I went 3-5-1. Imaginary Music comes off a nice win on the main track here. The buyer fig doesn't really compare. But I threw her in there 3rd. Had to use somebody 3rd, but I kind of like Many Sweet Treats as a 3rd pick. Better than my pick, I think, there. On we go to the 5th. Scratch number 2, Lovey Dovey out of this race. Takes a little touch of speed out of here, but it still looks like there's a decent amount of speed for these non-winners of 2 fillies.
Yeah, this was a difficult race for me. I wanted to just make everyone 5-1 in the whole race and go on to the next one. I picked the 3, Sheer Devil, 3-1 on the line. I like how this horse has raced. Recently, last time out on May 6th in a maiden 20, just won for fun, winning by 5. Notice it was almost 8 lengths back to the 3rd place finisher. I do realize that was a 5-horse field, so they can get strung out. But nevertheless, just an improving horse with, going 6 furlongs. The races she's gotten weak have been at 7 and 1 mile, so I feel like this is her distance. The 5-horse, Think It as a Donation is my next selection. She's been running really well. Consistently good in turf sprint races at this level. Her only dirt race this year was a maiden 50 at Houston to start off 2021, and that race came after a layoff of over 1 year and finished 2nd. Super consistent, this 5-year-old mare, so I think she deserves a lot of respect in this field. And Kalanicki for Broberg obviously ran well at Oaklawn, finishing 2nd at this non-winners of 2 claiming condition. And then next time out at Oaklawn on Fast Track didn't run quite as well. Comes into this race off a fast-closing turf sprint race, finishing 3rd. Broberg's horses, you always got to respect them. Not a lot of early speed from this mare, so that would be a concern for me.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where to put her either. I have Sheer Devil on top as well. Overthink It as a Donation. I echo wholeheartedly what you said. And coming down to a 3rd pick here, I went with the 9, Kihei Cat. It goes from Gustafson, who trained her last year, to Jimmy Dodwell. She has speed. She was a high-priced yearling, $150,000. That was a really smart maiden win back in October in her first start. She was 3-2 that day. I don't know if she can fire first time back. It would seem unlikely, but Cabrera gets the call. she's going to have a good view of him from the outside there early on, chasing the pace probably. So I used her over Kalinicki just because I'm trying a new face.
No, I like that Kihei Cat just to mention it because people don't be concerned about the lack of workouts. I mean, I'm sure this one's been at Highlander because that's where Sanders and Hurst typically have their horses, their own training facility just outside of Sulphur Springs, Texas. So she'll be fit.
On we go here to race number 6, and we have a special treat for you here and a head-on video, Rick, showing we're going to show Marlowe, but she was number 8 in this particular day. Now watch number 8, pink placard above the deal. Watch the start of this thing. Okay, bump from the outside. Bang! Hard bump right there from the filly to her inside. Wow. And now she's shuffled back, and not only is she in the back here, but she's also wide. She managed to get hammered out of the gate and is still about 3 or 4 wide going into the clubhouse turn. And I kind of liked her a little that day. That was the Flowers for KK Jedediah race. Jedediah came back and subsequently won. Flowers for KK won that race. That was a maiden special weight on May 9th on the turf. Now she goes to the main track, hits the bottom, first try on dirt. You can completely eliminate the start that particular day. And, she was no threat in the race. She dropped back to dead last. She's beaten 14 lengths. But I think in this bunch, she's going to go a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, the Beyer Par's 44. She's run in the 50s twice. Unfortunately, those were on turf.
Yeah.
However, I mean, she's dropping in, taking a huge drop in class for maiden special weights, which is where she's raced exclusively, now into a bottom-level maiden claimer. Her workouts on the main track have shown, she works 49. So, I mean, I'm assuming she'll be fine, especially at this level and in this field. So, I'm with you. I think Marlowe's clearly the one to beat. And I like that Nathan Wallace owns this filly as well. So he doesn't have to explain anything to anybody.
Right.
Dropping to win. The 6, it's good to be king. Likes to finish in the money. I mean, a 7-race maiden, but we got 4 in the money finishes. Comes off a really strong second-place finish when it's 4 lengths back to the third-place horse. She doesn't have a lot of early speed, but, at this level, she should finish up really well. I got to give her a long look. And the 3-horse Moon Lovin' finished 3rd, 1 position behind. It's good to be king, but she's the one that set the pace in there. She's finished 3rd twice, once at Delta, once at Lone Star. Has good early speed. Going to an apprentice rider, so they're taking the 5 pounds off for trainer Steve Asmussen, which is an interesting thing as well.
Yeah, there was a horse the other day that Lulos, that horse that Baffert used to have that Steve has, and he named Freddie Manrique to ride the horse. Now, the horse wound up being scratched. Here he names Maddie Martin, apprentice rider. That's an interesting call, but who knows what's involved. But, yeah, I went with Marlowe over It's Good to Be King. My 3rd pick is a reach on the line. The Time's Right, number 9. Stretch out here. This horse ran a pretty impressive half mile, it looks like, on May 19th, prepping for that May 29th bottom-level maiden race where she ran 4th at 20 to 1, but she added Lasix that day, so she's second-time Lasix. I mean, who knows? Alan Dupe does well stretching them out, it looks like, statistically. I mean, she could stretch out and maybe be a factor here, especially if these 2 favorites are, on the way toward long-time Maidenville,
Yeah, it's hard to predict the pace, too. Super Tricks broke fast last time and then just quit. I don't know, going around the ground. I mean, you can make a case the Time's Right, sharp enough, get to the front right away. I mean, might be able to.
She hasn't been disgraced in any of her starts.
No.
It's a bit of a reach for a 3rd pick, but heck, in this race, any 3rd pick is going to be a bit of a reach.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the 7th race is phenomenal. I mean, this race, I love this. I love this race just because it is so wide open. You have your best long shot in this race. I don't brand it a best long shot, but I could have because I like Slutang Clan in here. Blinkers on at 8 to 1. But I mean, if anybody is less than about 9 to 2 in this race, it's not going to be right, I think.
To me, this is a very tough race. The 3 Country Love is my best long shot of the day. The best long shot Monday paid $25.60, I believe.
Well, it made the most phenomenal move you will ever see a horse make. I honestly didn't think your long shot, who was a horse named White Woman Creek, was even going to go on with it. I mean, she looked disinterested, to say the least. and then about an eighth of a mile into the race to about the quarter pole. I don't know if I've ever seen a move like that, and I've seen a lot of good horses over the years. But, yeah, and then she wound up dusting them. So, yeah, that was a phenomenal pick for low-profile connections
Yeah,
and on a first-time starter. But, yeah, the move that she made for about 3/8 of a mile, mind-boggling.
Yeah, it really helps the company you keep. And so, she found the right field. The 3 Country Love is an interesting 4-year-old gelding here. Showed almost nothing last year as a 3-year-old. Comes back at Will Rogers on May 10th, 9-1 in a maiden 15, and then ends up running a terrific race. Battles for the lead, draws off to win by 10. They come here to Lone Star Park. They enter a turf sprint race. Doesn't get the cleanest of trips. Second best probably anyway, but finishes second in a really nice turf sprint. Now back to the main track, 7/8 of a mile, and the way this 4-year-old has finished in his 2 races this year, I see no reason why he can't just go on and maybe pull another mild upset. The 5 horse in here, Come On Mike, going to be tough to beat. I mean, at Oaklawn Park earns a strong buyer in a really strong maiden special weight race at a mile. Goes to Louisiana Downs, runs in a 6 1/2 furlong sprint, again, maiden special weights, does draw off to win. Kind of a logical horse, possibly to go favorite in here off that really nice prep race. Then the 7, Synthetic Joe, who seems to prefer conventional dirt over synthetics, which is, kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Last time out, though, he won by 4, earned the field's fastest buyer speed figure. That race was for Frank Lucarelli, who's had a tremendous season here. However, he was claimed by Kevin Scholl as one of those under-the-radar guys who wins at a very high percentage over the last couple years here at Lone Star Park. So based off sharp form, tactical speed, draws outside, which is a good thing from his primary competition. I mean, Synthetic Joe, among many others. I'm glad you're going to pick something else because, to me, a lot of contention.
It's contention when who have never been necessarily accused of being the most imaginative handicapper, have an 8-1 on top of a 12-1 on top of a 10-1 as my top 3 picks. But the thing about Synthetic Joe, I mean, that was a really nice race, and I liked him a lot that day, as everybody did. He was even money. He changed leads very, very late. And like you mentioned, not only does he appear to like the main track, but he's never been on a dry main track. He has 0 starts among his first 7, mostly synthetic, 1 turf, and some off tracks. He could come right back and run well. It wouldn't surprise me. Same thing with Come On Mike. I just, I didn't think Come On Mike. He was so fully extended at Louisiana Downs last time in a 6-horse field, and he was 3-10. I tossed him. But Slutang Clan, Broberg has, pretty good numbers with blinkers on. I mean, about the same as his regular win percentage. The extra focus might help. He closed really well going a mile last time against $15,000 non-winners of 2. Now, Broberg claims him. This horse has gone a long time since his last win, but I have a feeling maybe the turn back will help. And in a wide-open race like this, I want someone that's going to finish well. So I took him over Mists of Time, who we showed video on last time after the May 2nd race when this horse practically pulled Valdez Jimenez out of the saddle, rank and wanting to go on, checked real hard. And then next time out, he ran much better against Dream on Me Baby going a mile. I'm curious to see if he gets bet much because I think he might have some energy. I mean, his buyers don't quite stack up. But then I took him over Flat Out Avenger. C.R. Trout drops this horse kind of from the clouds here. I mean, he was in against that Bobby Brinkley group and didn't menace last time, was well beaten. But I think with this bunch, a Flat-Out Avenger might be able to work out. He's going to have to find a trip. He's going to be wide and off the pace. But so I went to the outside here, 10, 9, 11. I mean, I like your Country Love. I mean, there's a lot of horses you could argue for.
Yeah, it's not like you to pick a 1 for 18. That's usually when I'm making a mistake. I go for a 1 for 18. Then I always end up paying the price, it seems like. So hopefully you don't have that same fate. I usually do.
I'm becoming a little more tolerant of the 1-fers, depending on the situation.
Oh, yeah, you got to.
We saw a horse. Didn't we see a horse break its maiden just the other day? That was about 0 for 14.
Yep.
On to the 8th. Scratch that Two horses that I picked last time and wound up with a long face, as they say. The 2 Reverend AJ and the 3 Temple of Soul. They're going to wait for another day. And the 11 Right Tone. 7.5 furlong allowance. Seems like there's a good amount of speed in this particular race.
Yeah, I think there is too. I mean, one of the things I do is I clock also. So Sweet Medicine's been training so well for Francisco Bravo. Has not raced since November. That's not a big concern for me because he's been training so well. Run twice on turf as a 3-year-old, as you can see, won them both. A maiden special weight race from mid-pack, and then goes wire to wire, clearing a one other than race at Remington. So unbeaten, really training well. So I'm going to roll the dice with Sweet Medicine in a really contentious race. The 6 Allege, another coming off of a layoff, unraced since breaking his maiden at 10 furlongs at Churchill Downs.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah.
Kind of a maiden Kentucky Derby, a main track, 1.25 mile race at Churchill in September.
Yeah, and it's his first race in blinkers as well.
Yeah.
Since then, the workouts at Louisiana Downs look very promising. And the fact they ran this horse on turf in his career debut, I mean, I always consider that a major plus, even though he did not race well. He ended up showing a lot of promise, this colt did. Now back on turf. We'll see. Certainly bred fine for the turf. And the 5-horse, Rockin' a Hard Place off the main track race, really should be fit now. That was a terrific race at this same entry-level allowance condition. The only 6-time winner in the race, I like that. And then his most recent race on turf at Golden Gate, he was beaten only a length, earned a solid buyer speed figure. So, and then it's Carl Broberg. You got to respect him and Vasquez.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know what to do with him. I just wrote a question mark. I mean, he's kind of up and down. He runs a good one. He runs a not so good one. He races with allowance horses. He runs for 7,500. It's like there's probably no bunch he couldn't actually run with. I mean, it remains to be seen how well he would go. So I thought about it and threw him out. I went with the 9 Sweet Medicine. I mean, he has to avoid getting sucked into some kind of a pace vortex here in this relatively short 7.5 furlong race. But like you, I mean, I don't get to watch him work, but you can the work pattern for this horse is marvelous. And Bravo is great at bringing horses back. I mean, I've been watching Bravo horses for decades. He's good statistically, you can see he's good at bringing horses back off layoffs. My second pick here is Jack the Ripper of the Speedsters. He comes off a really nice race here on the main track. This is a horse that was, his dam was British. He was bred in France. Turf racing's got to be in his blood. He broke his maiden in France on the grass. Eventually, he's going to run a good grass race, you'd think, in the country. Allege is my third pick. The horse I'm curious about here is Newscaster. His dam, Sue's Good News, made $218,000 for Steve Hobby, I believe.
Yep.
Really, really good. She was almost all dirt. She was a tremendous mare. And, Newscaster, I thought he ran a really nice sprint race here on the mud last time. I mean, we'll see how he takes to the turf. I'm just curious to see how he runs because he's one of these that has a really high pace figure.
Yeah.
Carrie Craddock can get him going around there pretty good too.
Yep.
And she knows what she's doing as far as putting some conditioning into them. So, I mean, I'm curious to see how long he can hold that speed. 9th and final, 7/8 of a mile, Texas bred allowance, scratch the 8 Cha-Ching Bling.
Yeah, really competitive race. Wildcats, Bling, Fergara. Won back-to-back races at Houston, shipped to Lone Star Park at this same allowance condition. Restricted Texas bred, has lost back-to-back photo finishes. Just off his consistency, off his last 4 races, all for trainer Dallas Keene. And the 7/8, I like the way he finishes, kind of determinedly. So I'm going to take Wildcats, Bling. The 5 Ghosters. Wins at Houston by 11 lengths in a maiden special weight race. Comes back against similar horses going a mile. Catches a sloppy track. Still runs third for trainer Steve Asmussen. I think 7/8 will be perfect for this 3-year-old as well. And the 4 Conga Boy finished ahead in front of Asmussen trainee Ghoster last time out after setting the pace. Draw a line through that previous race in the mud. His only race ever on a fast track. You can see he broke his maiden at first asking by 7.5 lengths. And then I thought I'd mention a wild long shot in here, only because I was reviewing my workout notes. And I noticed Curlin's Capo at 20-1 who you can't beat to the front. So this is why I think maybe that 102-1 work was a best of three. He looked actually pretty strong at the end of it. So I'm just saying that if you got a really good last work and you're probably going to get to the front, it might be worth a shot at 7/8 of a mile. Maybe he can coax this horse all the way.
Yeah. I'm taking a shot here in the last. I mean, now that I look at it, and sometimes when you look at things right up on the day of the races, you think different than when I handicapped a few days ago. But I went with Conga Boy. His debut, he didn't earn much of a buyer. Well below par and below what Wildcats Bling's been doing lately. And then, like you say, you can throw out that April 29th race, I think. He comes back again on a sloppy track. On May 16th, you didn't want to be anywhere near the inside. And he made a yawning lead, and Luzzy did what he could to keep him off the inside, but there's only so much you can do. And he wound up kind of inside, and then wound up running a halfway decent second to quarterback Dak, beating Ghoster in the process. I was just trying to beat Wildcats Bling. It's probably a stupid thing to do. I'm not a big fan of horses trying 7/8 for the first time if they've been sprinting shorter. A lot of times I get burned by it. I mean, that A Real Jewel, I didn't know if she'd handle 7 furlongs a couple weeks ago, and she won by 7 or 7.5. So we'll see. But I'm going to try to beat him with Conga Boy. I think it's a little bit of a reach, but I like the turn back angle. And I took Ghoster third. So I don't have a wild fourth pick. Well, I have a little bit of a wild fourth pick. 1 for 17, Fando. Coming out of the quarterback Dak Conga Boy Ghoster race where he just kind of ran around there one paced. But no 7 furlong races for him. But, strange things sometimes happen in the last race of the day.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Somebody had to be fourth. All right, I guess that does it. Thanks so much, as always.
Yeah.
We only differ on a couple of top picks today, but they're in, this last race where you have a more logical selection, I think, than I do, and then that wide open race.
Yeah, it's another day without really a heavy odds-on favorite, so, hopefully the multi-race wagers, pay well. They probably will.
All right. Well, for Rick, I'm Jim. Thanks a lot for looking in. Good luck today.
Ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant Friday, and welcome to Lone Star Park at Grand Prairie. We're fast and firm, the first race in 26 minutes. At this time, we ask you to please rise as Chris Kirchmeyer performs our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we welcome you to Lone Star Park. 9 races on tap today. Please wager early. First race in 23 minutes. Field making its way to the paddock for race 1, which will kick off the rolling doubles, rolling pick threes, and offer the jackpot super high 5 wager. If you have your program handy, let's review the changes and overweights on today's program. Please note a change of rider in the first race for the 3 Jonathan Who. Make the rider David Cabrera. David Cabrera rides number 3, Jonathan Who. Number 4, Gushing Oil, has been scratched. Scratch 4, Gushing Oil. And the 6, Schoenhart, 2 pounds over. No changes in the second race. That begins the early pick 4. Looking ahead to the third, scratch number 4, Texas Crossbow. Scratch the 7, Sweet Tomato Pie. And scratch the 8, Big One. 4, Texas Crossbow, 7, Sweet Tomato Pie, and 8, Big One, all scratched out of the third. No superfecta on race 3. On to the fourth. Start of today's jackpot 6-shooter wager. Carry over $7,666. Scratch part of the entry, number 1A, Ashley's New Shoes. Scratch 1A, Ashley's New Shoes. Also scratch the 8, Light Up the Devil. fifth race begins the pick 5. Scratch number 2, Lovey Dovey. From the 5th, scratch number 2, Lovey Dovey. In today's 6th race, start of the late pick 4, scratch number 4, Snap It. Scratch 4, Snap It. And please note an equipment change for the 5. Super Tricks, she races with blinkers on. Put the blinkers on, number 5, Super Tricks in the 6th race. No changes in the 7th. In today's 8th, please note the following scratches. From the 8th race, scratch the 2, Reverend AJ. Scratch number 3, Temple of Soul. And scratch the 11, Right Tone. And in the 9th and final, scratch number 8, Cha-Ching Bling. Scratch 8, Cha-Ching Bling from the 9th. Those are the changes at this time. 21 minutes to post for the first.
And a pleasant good Friday afternoon to everybody joining us here at Lone Star Park at Grand Prairie. Well, what a week does. Temperatures have just sort of slide up to that altitude level as far as getting hot. A little bit warmer this afternoon, of course, but this time last Friday we were fighting rain, so now we're back to a beautiful day here at the racetrack. Temperatures have gone up, but we do have a great fast main track and a fast turf course. A 9-race card for your entertainment this afternoon. My name is Dave Appleton. I'll be down here in the saddling paddock area. As always, I'll take a look at each and every race. I'll try to pick out some horses that I think fit the conditions, and hopefully I can find you a couple of winners along the way. With that being said, let's take a look at the first of 9 this afternoon. We kick it off going 5.5 furlongs. This is a claiming race. It is for 3-year-olds and upwards that have never won 2 races lifetime. Your claiming price, $7,500. Looking over this field, the 5 Frosted Prayer, 3-year-old son of Frosted, comes up into this spot. Hasn't been seen since running on a sloppy racetrack up at Oaklawn. That was running in an optional 20. Race before that at Houston, he was a very good second. Showed pace around the racetrack to run a good second at the 25 non-2. So he reappears now at a much lower level. He's been facing a lot better. Probably has enough pace to push this pace along. A lot to like about Frosted Prayer. The 8, My Boy Gus. He comes in, goes out of a route, goes back into a sprint, go back through his form. He also is another one dropping down in class. They claimed him for 30 up at Oaklawn Park some 4 races back. Blinkers go on, shortening back up out of a route, trying to get some speed back into this horse. Notice that he did go gate to wire in January up at down at the fairgrounds, winning a maiden 30. So there's plenty of pace in My Boy Gus. Also another 3-year-old shortening up, draws the outside. A lot to like about him. And the 3, Jonathan Who, comes in here, goes from the turf, goes back to the dirt, goes from Allowance Company down to the slowest level non-2. Ran very, very well, showed speed when he broke his maiden. Also, that was back in January as well. So I think he's going to try to push the pace along. So a couple of speedsters on this first race. I went 5, 8, 3. Good luck with your selections.
prisoners here of our own device. And in the master's chambers, they're gathered for their feast. They stab it with their stealing eyes, but they just...
The field for Lone Star's first race at 5.5 furlongs is approaching the track. Post time, just under 6 minutes. David Cabrera rides number 3, Jonathan Who. Scratch to 4, Gushing Oil. This race begins the rolling pick threes and rolling doubles and includes the jackpot Super High 5 wager with exacta, trifecta, and superfecta wagering. One minute to post. The field is approaching the gate. Arriving at the gate for the first of today's 9. Sunny and 91 Fahrenheit here in Grand Prairie, Texas, as we get set for race number 1. Main track fast, 5.5 furlongs the distance. And into line they go. Not Today Satan, Frosted Prayer, and Schoenhardt head in. In goes Runaway Point. Descent. The last 2 to load will be My Boy Gus on the outside and Jonathan Who. Jonathan Who heads forward. They're in the gate. And they're off. My Boy Gus being hustled toward the lead. Descent was out well. Here comes Jonathan Who right up the inside. Frosted Prayer fourth and right in and among those leaders. Then a gap of some 3 to Runaway Point, followed by Schoenhardt and Not Today Satan. They have a half mile to go. And Jonathan Who with the lead here by a neck. And My Boy Gus sits right outside of him in second. And then on the inside comes Frosted Prayer racing in third. And Descent on the comeback trail is outside of him in fourth. Then a good gap back to Runaway Point. And about another good 4 lengths back to Schoenhardt and Not Today Satan. They come for home. Jonathan Who with the lead over My Boy Gus by some 2 lengths now. Then Descent. And to the inside, Frosted Prayer is going to have to get after it. He's right on the inside, about 3.5 lengths off the lead of Jonathan Who and David Cabrera. And then a big barrage of horses coming on. Here is Runaway Point coming on well from between. Then Frosted Prayer, the inside, and Descent up on the outside. Jonathan Who, Runaway Point coming at him. Jonathan Who, Runaway Point gets up over Jonathan Who. Schoenhardt, Not Today Satan, Frosted Prayer, and Descent all in a big scramble for the Miners. Photo finish here for the win. Please hold all tickets. Up in time, number 2, Runaway Point. 2, 3, 6, the order here. 3, Jonathan Who, second. Third, number 6, Schoenhardt. Fourth, number 1, Not Today Satan. Fifth was the 5, Frosted Prayer. 2, 3, 6, 1, 5. The upcoming second race begins the early pick 4. No changes in race 2. Just a reminder, today is a happy hour with the horses Friday here at Lone Star Park. Visit the Courtyard of Champions for various specials. And enjoy this afternoon. Got $2.75 Miller Lite drafts, $2.75 margaritas, outdoor wagering, shaded patio seats in the courtyard. The first is now official. 23 minutes to post for race 2. In the winner's circle, Runaway Point. Now back-to-back winner under Bethany Taylor. Runaway Point is a bay 3-year-old gelding by Bowers Point from the mare Let the Gray Run Away, bred in Arkansas by the owner Keene Thoroughbreds LLC of Greenville, Texas. J.R. Caldwell trains. Time here 1 minute 6.40 seconds. There was a claim out of this first race, number 5. Frosted Prayer goes to trainer Carlos Padilla. Exacta here, 2-3, $61.80. 50-cent try, 2-3-6, $573.30. 10-cent super, $614.08. There will be a carryover in the Super High 5 to the 9th race of $907.54. Winner here, the 2, Runaway Point. Second, number 3, Jonathan Hu. And third, number 6, Schoenhart. The 1, Not Today Satan, was 4th. And the 5, Frosted Prayer, 5th.
Well, we fogged up the windows in my old Chevy. I was willing, but she wasn't ready. So I settled for a burger and a grape snow cone. I dropped her off early, but I didn't go home.